Welcome to another video. Today's video, I'm going to be working on the Ford Maverick here 2026. We're going to be installing some accessories like a tonneau cover, some floor mats. Stay tuned.
Music bed.
So for the floor mats, I went ahead and ordered a kit from Amazon. This kit comes together with pretty much everything you see here. So you have a truck bed mat, a tailgate mat, and then the floor mat set, which I like to use that type because they fit in here on the floors really well. I use them on the other Maverick. I use them on my other vehicles. Now you can go with WeatherTech, which is a really good brand, good manufacturer. Those are a little bit more expensive. On my truck, I ordered Husky mats, which are also really good. And they're a little bit less expensive than WeatherTech. On my truck, I like Husky because they make tan mats, and my truck is tan on the outside, so it matched it better. For like our Explorer and for this one, the other Maverick, I ordered them off Amazon. They're honestly, I don't know, the brand on this one is Woke. But much less, they're made pretty nice. The material's nice, and on the other truck they fit really nice. So I'm gonna install them here on this Maverick. Same with the mat, because on this ones they don't sell, as of yet, they don't sell a bed liner that you can install like a plastic one. Now you can obviously go and get that sprayed on. They are pretty expensive, so this kit here cost about $179 or so, but comes with everything. If you do a spray-on mat bed liner, it's gonna cost you probably about $800 or so, depending on the place you go to. And so we'll see how this one fits. It did come with a tailgate section, which on the other Maverick they didn't have that at the time. And so we'll see how it fits. Really, the main thing on this one is to protect the bed. It has a mat, so if you throw things in there, it's not gonna scratch and gouge the bottom. And then we're gonna put the tonneau cover just so it's, makes it look nice, but also if you have stuff on the back of the truck, you can close it. It's not gonna get rained on, things like that. And I believe, I don't know if the brand is the same because, you know, Amazon, they change brands, but it looks the exact same as the one on the other Maverick, as far as the style and everything. So I'm gonna install that, kind of bring you guys along, and then we'll see how it all looks once it's done. First thing I'm gonna do here is I have my vacuum out, so I'm just gonna vacuum the floors, and you are gonna have to remove the original floor mat, which this is the carpet one. You know, just pull it out of the tabs. I'm gonna vacuum everything here. Let me get that done, and then I'll show you how they fit. Now that the truck is vacuumed up, I'm gonna grab the floor mat. So I'm gonna start with this rear one, and we're gonna put it in here. So this usually go in pretty simple. I'm gonna try to put the camera down here for just a second. Just have to sneak them in here, and like I mentioned before, these are cut pretty nice. They slip right in there. And you just have to pretty much just guide them into place, and once they're in there, they're in there. So like that one was really easy. And as you can see there, it fits really nice here in the back. So anyone with muddy shoes, they step in, all the mud's gonna stay here, even if it's snow, you know, you spill any kind of drink, it's gonna stay in here because it has this raised edge all the way around. And you can see a little bit better there. So it's got the raised edge. Even if you spill kind of here, it's gonna drip in here. So that'll make it so that it won't be so messy. So I'm gonna put this camera down here also, and then I'm gonna bring the mat here for the passenger side. On the passenger side, same thing. I'm just gonna really pretty much just drop it in place. Now this mat does have this little button here on the back side, which I believe some models do have a button on the floor for it to snap in place. This one did not, but it just has the cover, so it looks okay. Again, it fits really nice. All the edges, perfect. And really what I like to do, instead of just, you know, this is the carpet floor mat that's in there, I usually just kind of put them on top like this. And so you kind of have extra cushion there. But also if you spill stuff, I mean, yes, your mat will get dirty, which ultimately you can just, a lot of people just throw those away. But this way, it's not going to go to the actual carpet underneath. It can go on the mat, it can go around, but it's still going to go underneath that plastic one. So that's what I like to do. Now you can just get rid of those or save them if you like. You know, that's really up to you. So that's really simple on that one. And then let me get the driver's side, which is this last one here that I'm gonna do. It should be the same way. The only difference on this driver's side one is it does have the buttons here that you actually snap in, where the factory ones were. So there's that one. There's that second one. And that's it. Everything around the gas pedal here, it does go contour pretty nice. It fits excellent. So again, really good value. A lot of people complain that they smell bad, but I honestly don't smell anything on these floor mats. Maybe if I hold them up to my nose, they kind of smell like rubber, I guess. But and I'm just gonna put this plastic or carpet one on top, just like I said, extra. But you can throw that away if you want, save it. Really doesn't matter. So I'm gonna move now to the mat. Now I had it extended here on my floor because it comes folded, and so it's pretty flat now. I did walk all over it, that's why it looks kind of a little bit of dust on it, but you know, that's not how it comes. That's just because I walked all over it. So I had cleaned the back of the bed here. I'm just gonna grab an old shirt with some quick detailer and just wipe all the dust one more time on the bottom and the tailgate and put those on there. Now the tailgate piece does come with double-sided tape on there, kind of like 3M tape. And technically, it looks like, I mean, it has this little dimples where the bolts would be. You could probably take some of the bolts out and then put them through the top so it holds it down a lot better. So I might do that. I'm gonna check, see how it fits, but I'll do the mat here first. So I'm actually gonna put the camera down here and then just bring that mat, or clean the tailgate and do the mat first. And I'm sure dirt is gonna fall under the mat as it's used. Even with the tonneau cover, I mean, dust does find its way in here, but makes me feel better to just clean it a little bit before putting it on, rather than just throwing it on top of a little bit of dust that's in here. So for sure, if it had like big know, mud or big spots of mud or things like that, I would get those cleaned up for sure. All right, that's pretty good. Now the mat on the other truck did have a little bit more of a ledge that went up. This one is pretty much just a flat mat, so it's a little bit different. But really overall, I mean, it fits pretty good. And what I'm gonna do is just cut a slit here for the hook. So gonna be careful just to not cut too much, I guess, but also you can do this differently. So you could take the hook off the vehicle and then place it on top and bolt it down. For this one, I'm just gonna cut it. Let it go through the top. We are pretty straightforward to install this in there. Pretty much really all you do is place it on the back of your bed there and you're done. I'm just wiping some of the footprints that I had put on there. But overall, I mean, that looks nice. Gonna protect the bottom of your bed. You throw things in there. Also helps to not skid around. So if you put something you don't want to move around, that'll help it not move around the bed. So this mat here for the tailgate, it does have the dimple. So what I'm gonna do is take these bolts off and just already pre-drill some pilot holes on here. Put them through there, and that's gonna help hold it down. It looks like you can just use double-sided tape, but I think with the bolts holding it down, it will make sure if you're skidding something across here, it's not just gonna come undone easier. So that's what I'm gonna do. I got my Torx bits here. I'm gonna start taking, I'll take like these two down first, bolt them down, you know, fold the mat, and doing that. So let me get my tools here, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So it looks like a Torx 25 for this one's here, and a 30 for the big one over here. So, and you can probably do this with a little drill impact. I'm just gonna do them by hand. And this little screws don't look like they need to be so tight either. I really don't think you would strip them easily, but they do go into kind of a thin clip down there, so I'd rather not find out that I stripped it or something. And hopefully these little holes I drilled are pretty good aligned. Now obviously you could drill them a little bit differently there if you need to. They don't line up as great. And I'm just going to tighten them as tight as I felt the bolts were. There we go. Like I said, it does have the double-sided tape here on the edge. I think that's going to take a little bit longer for it to kind of go down, but so I'm gonna peel the mat back and do these ones here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this other one here at the end. Right away. And then I'll finish pulling this tape out. I really think if you only do this double-sided tape, it's really not gonna be in there pretty well, or at least you might have to gonna drill this hole a little bit bigger. You will definitely have to keep pushing it down, maybe something to hold it down. Maybe even grab some 3M tape, like the little bit bigger, thicker one, or wider one, and use that. Alright, so got one side done. Pretty simple. I'm just going to go ahead and finish this other side. I already have the holes pre-drilled, so I'm just going to take the screws off, start with these two, put them back down, and then I'll take off the rest of the 3M tape, these three ones, do the same on this side, and then we'll see what it looks like once it's all done. The tailgate piece is all done, so pretty good. Like I said, this comes folded, so it does still have a slight little crease here. It should kind of flatten out a little bit over time, but overall it fits pretty nice. The screws line up pretty well. Let's just make sure. Yep, it does close. Cool. So everything is good. Now what I'm gonna move to is put in the tonneau cover that's right here on the floor. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the instructions real quick, look and see what it's gonna entail. I know last time I had to modify the clips to go on the bed a little bit just because they were hitting. So I'll have to see if I have to do that, but let me move into that. Once I know what I'm doing, I'm gonna show you what that looks like. To install the tonneau cover, so they have pretty nice instructions in here. And first one is they do give you this seal to put on the front. So as you can see, the bed on these trucks have the plastic cover, and then here on the front they don't have that plastic, so it's lower. So we're gonna put that piece down here just so it goes flat and there's not a gap here on the front compared to the sides. Once I put that in there, then I'm gonna have to get those two rails, put them on the side, and then get the actual tonneau cover and attach those rails here to the side of this, so it gives you the width that those rails have to be. Once you have that width, then you can start bolting it down to the actual side of the bed. So very important to put this one in there, because if you just bolt them down, then you're not gonna know if this fits. Also, this has to slide into them, so you kind of have to do it kind of together, but not completely. So I'm gonna go ahead, and there's this little straps. It was rolled up when it first came in, and I unrolled it, but I'm gonna clip it so that way I can set it on top and start figuring out the sides after I put the seal on the front. So once you put the front or the actual bed cover, you put the side rails here, slide them in. There's a little screw that's gonna hold those in place that I have to still tighten up. One of the screws on that side, it was out. Well, I noticed when I opened the box, there was like a little metal piece, and there was the screw that was laying there. So just be careful when you open it. That could have backed out with shipping. I would have been out that screw. And the other thing I did is I put the end here where it locks. So let me show you. This have like the guides, right? So there's like little, you know, it has to go right in here. And that kind of gives you how wide the rails have to be on the back. Because if you open them too much, then that little piece is not gonna go in there. If you put them too close, then it's not gonna let it go in. So I did that, and then I pretty much locked it in place, closed it. So what I'm gonna do now is I can just kind of overall, you know, move it so it's the same distance on both sides. Look here on the front, make sure it looks good. And so that's pretty much gonna guide the rest. So now I can actually go in there and start putting the hold downs here on the bed. And that's gonna make it so that the rails are the exact same size I need them to be. This should be long enough for me for the tailgate to go on there. So, but just to make sure, because I have a little bit of leeway of pulling it backwards from the front. But you also don't want it too far back. You kind of, I guess, have to find a good medium there. So if we look, you know, the rubber piece, it does go on there. Let's see, this is right on the back, and before I put it on, I'm gonna go in there and push that seal so it's going the other way. But I'm gonna pull it like a 1/4 inch here, just to make it go back slightly. I think that's good. That makes it come back to the tailgate a little bit more. And it's still gonna seal on the front. So, all right, I think that's gonna be, see, now I moved it. So just make sure that you're keeping track. So I just have to make it go over the piece here. believe that's where I had it. So looks good. So now to open the tailgate, I'm gonna hold it and open it, and then just make sure, go back and line it up overall. So I kind of knew where this was. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and get the seal on the front so it goes over that rubber piece, because right now it's sitting like this. But if I grab it and put it this way, it's gonna make it harder for water to come this way. It's just gonna go to the front of the piece there. And then once I do that, I'm gonna start doing the clips, and I'll come back and show everyone how I did the clips and if I did have to trim them at all. So, and just before I move on with installing this, I did figure out that I had to cut these about 1/2 inch, because the way this, the thickness of the bed on these trucks, on the Maverick, it would have only been like this long, which the screw would barely reach, but it didn't seem like it would really tighten up as much as having it closer with the screw going through a little bit more, and then having more of this shoulder on here so it doesn't move aside. Because if it's very up here, you know, you might throw something on the bed and it could kind of move it aside. So I cut these about 1/2 inch. Just measure on your truck, but that's gonna make it so when I tighten it, it goes pretty much all the way up like this. It gives it a better, you know, better stability to tighten down. It doesn't have the little bit bigger side here on the bottom, but that's okay. I do remember having to do that on the other Maverick, and I didn't know if they had changed those, but since these are made to fit multiple vehicles, multiple manufacturers, the only thing they do talk about is that you can do, I guess for like some of the other manufacturers, they have like a Trex, and there are some clips that fit for those vehicles. They're going to be different than this, but they go on the actual tracks that slide in there. So now that I cut these, I'm actually going to start, and the bolt goes from the top, so I'm going to start with the back ones just to go get them in place, get the whole thing in place, and then I'm going to undo it and roll it up and do the other ones there. So the tonneau cover is almost done. I'm just going to show you those last 2 clips. I did use C-clamps to hold it down, because with the screw being from the top, there's no way for me to get the Allen with the thing rolled up. So I just used the C-clamp to hold it so it wouldn't move when I opened it. Once I did the back ones, then I just unrolled it, did those front ones as well. And one more thing that I wanted to share is, as I cut these, this bracket, I had to cut the bolt too, because when I went to tighten it, the bolt was bottoming out on this little cross section, and it wouldn't let me tighten it as much as I wanted to. And so now I cut about 1/4 inch off the bolt, and you can see there's about 1/4 inch. That one has the sign where it was bottoming out, but now I can tighten it as much as I need to. So with it cut, the bolt cut, just I put a nut on the bolt. That way when I cut it, I took the nut off, and it helped you know, clean the threads at the end. And so what you're gonna do is just gonna put them like this. Now you can have this apart and do it in there, but if you just put the bolt ahead of time, just put it through the bottom, hang it on top here, and then just tighten it up. Now this bed is really short. 3 of these is plenty, but I'm still gonna do all 3 just to make sure. There's a little kind of like raised lip here, and that's where the clip has a little slot that it holds on there. So make sure it's right on there. And then I'm tightening it just with this little Allen key by hand, making sure it's not next to like a plastic clip or anything on the bottom, and just tightening it up, you know, a decent amount. That's really good. You don't have to go too crazy on it. And now this, where I cut this one here at the end, so even on this one, you could probably cut only like a 1/4 inch off of this one, and it's just gonna be a little bit more separate like this, but that's okay. If you cut only a 1/4 inch, you might not have to cut the bolt. So kind of you can think about that. You may have to just cut it a little bit, but just depends how much you cut this, if you might have to cut the bolt. But just know that the way it comes from the manufacturer, you're really not going to be able to use these. For one, like I said, it barely reaches. And then you're going to have this big old clip like this just sticking down. So, but I guess you could just try to do it that way and see how it works out. For me, this is the best way. That way it's all kind of tight. It's smaller. It's all the way up through this little cage. So there you have it. It's all tightened up. So you can roll out your tonneau cover. And then just make sure those pieces line up on your slot there. And it should close pretty easy. And you do have to, you can close it with the tailgate closed. It just makes it harder. But to open it, you do have to open your tailgate because there's this little tab that you pull here on the bottom. So just remember that, and then once that's there, you just close your tailgate and you're good to go. You do have to normally I'm gonna have to move those clips because they're right where the crossbar is, so it's not gonna let it go all the way down. So things like that you have to kind of keep in mind. As you see there, I didn't really think about that, so I'm just gonna move it about 1 inch on both sides just to make sure it's not hitting that bar. Tonneau cover is all done. I put some 303 protectant on it so it's nice and shiny. So now that I moved that clip a little bit, it's not sticking up a little bit. So just also be mindful of that. A couple things that, you know, sometimes you don't think about as you're doing it, but overall, really nice fit, pretty good. You just have to modify those brackets a little bit. But that's it for this video. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. This came from Amazon as well. I believe this was about $229, so it's not badly priced at all. There are some name brand up there ones that cost about $400 to $500, and I have used those. They do fit a little bit better. The overall quality is slightly better. But for the price point on these, they do really well. The other Maverick, it's been under for almost 3 years now, and it's held up perfectly fine to the elements, weather, and everything. So once again, any questions, comments, leave them below. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.